So, who would be most taxed if Alice's endeavors turned out, having to redo all their creative work and risking losing their entire audience in the process? Chad, Sammy, Max, and Blaze may face platform strikes, monetization issues, or licensing cleanup. While frustrating, their content could be rebuilt or adjusted without losing their creative identity or following. Liv Duplicity, her parody merchandise could face takedowns and lawsuits, but with rebranding and proper parody structure, she could recover. Terry Trademark, though legally at risk, his content was about enforcement, not creativity. His legal career might have been jeopardized, but he wouldn't have had to rebuild years of original work. The Killer is a creator with an obsessive eye for detail, one-of-a-kind footage, and hours of documentary assembly that can't be easily replaced. Aesthetic is everything to her, and Alice's takedown threatened to unravel it all. She had the most to lose. Alice had already flagged several timestamps in Indy's public domain docuseries that were still protected by corporate copyright. If pulled, Indy would have to resource clips, rewrite narration, re-edit entire episodes, and potentially lose trust from her niche, vintage-loving audience. Indy's entire brand identity was built on her aesthetic integrity, and Alice had publicly questioned it. And she had the motive for murder. Alice wasn't just accusing Indy of a mistake, she was undermining the foundation of her creative credibility. A single blog post from Alice, linking evidence and renewal records, could lead to platform takedowns, copyright claims, and reputation damage. For Indy, this wasn't just a takedown threat, it was a full erasure of her artistic identity. And so, with one dramatic swing of the cricket hook, Indy silenced the critic who dared to call her carefully curated aesthetic anachronistic theft. How did it go down? Alice greeted all her guests at the Do Something New party, wearing a heat-pressed tee that said, "Don't copy me," in retro bubble font. And while everyone was gathering, dipping the peanut butter, mayonnaise, and sipping pickled Dr. Peppers, Indy Reels slipped away. She wasn't looking for trouble, just a little symmetry. She'd seen the journal earlier, the one Alice used to log every vintage infraction, as she called them. Apparently, Indy's 1940s toothpaste, and still being under copyright, was Alice's hill to die on. Unfortunately, it was. Indy waited by the window in the office, moonlight framing her silhouette like a black and white noirish still. When Alice entered to jot down some concerning uses of serif fonts, Indy stepped forward and grabbed the nearest thing she could access in the office, the Cricut adhesive remover. Earlier, she had dropped some heavy sleeping concoction in the drink Alice had cheered her party off with. And she knew it would make Alice slow to react at first, then help soothe her into an eternal sleep. "This won't be historically accurate," she whispered, "but it will be aesthetically consistent." With a swift hook, she aimed with the precision of someone who has aligned hundreds of grainy frames in Adobe Premiere and jabbed Alice between the ribs. Alice collapsed to the chair by her desk, her hand reaching instinctively for the glass she'd toasted with, still half full of Sunny D. By the time the guests started arguing about which fonts qualify as transformative, Alice Hardwright, which is what we're calling her now, because it's a better last name than Turner for her, was gone. Cut to black.